Hello, friends, and welcome to yet another amazing video of WisdomZone. And this is Shubro, and I'm quite sure you have already guessed it that today I have the seventh session on develop your spoken English and become more fluent and proficient in your spoken English. So it is my earnest request, please watch this video carefully because today I am going to address a very important thing, that is how to start a telephonic conversation in English. And again, it is my earnest request, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe to Wisdom Zone and hit the bell icon so that you can turn on the notification and get further notification of this type of informative videos, right? So without further ado, let's get started. So as you see, friends, today I have the seventh session on develop your spoken English and become more fluent and proficient in spoken English. And today my special emphasis is on how to start a telephonic conversation in English. Yes, you heard it correctly, because this is a very important aspect of communication, and I true that so many speakers face when it comes to telephonic conversation. They really do not know how to start a conversation, how to speak professionally. So today I'm going to address that so that you can speak confidently, fluently, and professionally in a telephonic conversation. So without further ado, let's get started with today's discussion. So as you see, friends, on your screen, how to start a telephonic conversation in English. There are primarily three aspects of a telephonic conversation. As you see on your screen, the first is opening of the call, second is the body of the call, and the third is the closing. We have to emphasize on all the three aspects I have discussed, and today I am going to show you step by step how you can emphasize on all the three aspects of a telephonic conversation. So let's get started with the first aspect, that is opening up the call. As you see, the first aspect is opening up the call, which is quite essential, because if you do not know how to open a call professionally, then obviously you will not get a good response from the other end. So let me show you how to start a call. So as you see on your screen, at first you call someone and start with hello and say good evening, afternoon, or morning, and then wait for the response. And obviously the person is also says good evening. Then you introduce yourself. As you see, the second important line is to introduce yourself, that my name is Troy Walter and I'm calling you from. You can mention the organization from your calling, or on behalf of whom you're calling you can mention, or you can just mention your name, right? And after that you have to verify whether you are speaking to the right person or not. So before you start your conversation, you clarify that whether you're speaking to the right or the concerned person or not. So you can ask like this: so may I speak to Mr. Smith? Okay, by that way you'll be able to confirm and wait for the response. Obviously, if the person says yes, you are, then you continue with your conversation. And if the response is no, he is not available at this moment, then you obviously ask that what would be the right time to call him back, right? So say for example you are speaking to the right person, Mr. Smith. So then you follow the following steps. Then you start like this: hello, Mr. Smith, and then ask how are you doing, okay, or how are you. So that is very important. So do not start your conversation, do not start talking about the purpose before asking the well-being of the person. It is a basic courtesy, please follow that. So you can say how are you, or how are you doing today, or how are you doing, right? So obviously the person will respond, and if the person will say that yes, I'm doing fine, you after that confirm that whether it's the right time to speak to the person or not. So you see, I have given some example how to confirm whether it's the right time to speak. You can use this sentences. The first is, you can ask that is it a right time to speak to you, okay? And if you want to make it sound more formal, then obviously you can say I would appreciate some of your precious or valuable time. And another option we have, we can also say could you spare me some of your precious or valuable time. So that's the way you sound more formal and professional, okay? And after confirming, if the person said yes, it's the right time, then you go to the body of the call. That's the second part, the body of the call. where you have to disclose the purpose of your call very briefly. Okay, people don't have that much of time to spend hours on hours over a phone conversation. So try to briefly narrate the purpose of your call. So as you see, I have given an example how to briefly narrate the purpose. As you see, let me read it out. I am calling you to communicate that the date of the annual general meeting, that is AGM, which has been fixed by Mr. Bain, who's our chairman, on 12th January at 12 p.m. in our branch office. As you are one of the stakeholders, we will be obliged, you can use grateful also, if you grace the occasion with your presence. So, like this way, you have to formally let the person know or communicate about a particular event that's happening, and you're calling that person to let him know about it, right? And after that, wait for the response. And if the person has queries, you can resolve the queries. If the person asks any questions, you have to answer the question for professionally, and then to go to the closing of the call, which is also quite essential. The closing of the call is very important. Do not suddenly say thank you and hang up. Okay, it's a very bad practice. So as you see, I am going to show you how to close a call in a professional manner. So you can close the call like this way. I would like to thank you once again for bearing with me. Kindly feel free to contact me in case of any further queries. You can reach me at, you can give your number 1-800-800, and our HR department will also mail you all the details in a short while. Thank you and have a wonderful, or you can say a blessed day ahead. So like this way you can close in a very professional manner, which is very important. So do not suddenly end the call and say thank you and end the call. That sounds quite unprofessional. So I hope it's clear. You have to emphasize on all the three aspects: opening, the body, and the closing. So up next, I'm going to also show you how we can practice. There are different ways to practice. You can ask your friends or family members, take up a role play, give a situation. Suppose you pretend to be a patient and call the doctor, and ask your friend or family member to pretend to be a doctor and do a role play on that and converse over the phone, right? Or else, apart from that, you can call the customer service department of your mobile service provider and can practice. And apart from that, you can also practice by calling people and speaking to people over the phone. The more you practice, the better you become, right? So at last, I'm going to show you what are the things you should do and what are the things you shouldn't do. So as you see, the things you should do in a telephonic conversation, the first thing is that first greet the person. Obviously, start with good evening, afternoon, or morning, and then obviously mention your name. Who are you? That mention your full name. My name is this. I'm calling you from this place. That is very important. And then wait for the response, and then ask the person how the person is, right? It's not the straight away you start discussing, you mention how are you doing or how are you have to ask that. These things are important. And then you go ahead, in the body, briefly discuss why you are calling, briefly inform if you have to give some information or you have to book an appointment, talk about that precisely and briefly, right? And the last is closing. Focus on the closing. Do not suddenly say thank you and hang up. Obviously, it's very unprofessional. So you can close the call in a professional manner. And as I already mentioned, you can say that thanks for your cooperation and have a wonderful day ahead or have a blessed day ahead. So, like this way, you can close also, right? So, up next, I will show you what are the things you should not do. There are so many important things which you have to focus here. I have seen most of the people make mistakes. So first of all, do not call someone and start speaking without mentioning your name. First mention your name. Your name is your identity, and also mention if you're calling on behalf of someone of organization, you can mention the name, or else you can just state your name. And after that, you have to confirm whether you're speaking to the right person. So do not start speaking without confirming. Please confirm that whether you're speaking to the right person or not, like this way, that may I speak to this person, may I speak to so and so. After that, another important thing is to check whether the person is available, right? And whether it's the right time to speak. As I already mentioned, you can ask that person, is it a right time to speak to you? or you can sound more formal by saying, I would appreciate some of your precious or valuable time. Or if you could you spare me some of your precious or valuable time. Obviously, this would sound more formal and professional. So do not suddenly start speaking before confirming whether the person is ready to speak or not, right? And if the person is not ready, definitely take a particular time when you can call that person back, right? And at last is the closing of the call, which is very important, as I already mentioned. So the closing is important. Do not suddenly say thank you and hang up. Oh, that sounds quite unprofessional. You can close like this way, that thanks for your cooperation. You can have a blessed day ahead, or have a wonderful day ahead. So like this way you can use these lines and close and sound more professional. So I hope you found this video helpful, and I have already given the topics, and you can try and do role plays and try to speak over the phone more and more, and follow the three steps: the opening, the body, and the closing, and focus on the elements I have mentioned, and that would help you to speak more fluently and confidently and professionally. So I hope you found this video extremely helpful, and I'm going to come up with more videos on telephonic conversation. So stay tuned, and if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do not forget and subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can turn on the notification, and stay tuned for further informative videos.